How's it going? And welcome back to another episode of Mood for Feud. I'm your host Katya, and today I am in the mood to debrief Mikaela Testa's Unsaid podcast episodes and the entire Anna Paul Atis Paul drama. And joining me, I have Charlotte Scott. How's it going, Charlotte?
Hey Katya, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Well, I'll be honest, I'm on the verge of a meltdown and it's fine because Charlotte's helping me through it.
It's good. We're all good. We're actually thriving right now. It's a long weekend. We're thriving.
We're thriving. I was gonna fake it and then I was like, nah.
No.
I've got to be honest. I'm having a moment. Charlotte's been fantastic. Please tell my listeners where they can find you, tell them about your YouTube channel and any of your socials as well.
Yeah, so obviously my name is Charlotte Scott. I am from Melbourne, Australia, and I have a YouTube channel where I do deep dives, scammers, recaps on drama, influencer drama, everything like that under the sun. Like I said before, I recapped the Unsaid podcast with Mikaela Testa. And yeah, that's all about my YouTube channel. You can find me at Hello Charlotte Scott on YouTube, and Instagram and TikTok. I am Charlotte Scott with 3 T's at the end _. So if you want to keep up with me in real time, that is where to find me.
And I'll link everything down below as well. I'm quickly popping in because I forgot to mention when we recorded this that over on Charlotte's YouTube channel at Hello Charlotte Scott, we will be ranking the top 5 most diabolical things the Paul family has done. So definitely give that a watch, and I'll also have the video linked in the show notes. And you should definitely check out Charlotte's YouTube channel because there's great deep dives on there, and I've actually been watching your recaps for the Unsaid podcast as well because it's so interesting. Like, even though I've been recapping it, just hearing it from someone else's perspective, and I always find your takes so funny and just like the way you explain things. I don't know, I love watching it, so everyone should check that out.
I love that. I think like the most random one for me was when April 2nd happened. With everyone releasing statements, and I was literally like, I need to film like this in real time, and it was something like 10 o'clock at night, maybe 11, and I like whip out my ring light, got like my hair up in a bun, my skincare's done, I like grab a glass of wine, I'm like, I'm recapping this in real time because so much was happening. Like there was videos going up every 2 minutes, and I was like, I actually need to do this now because if I go to sleep, I'm gonna lose track of everything that's happening right now, like literally everything. So I just usually have a glass of wine and we're usually chatting, and it's really nice to, I guess, debrief with you today because one of the reasons I started my YouTube channel was I had no one to talk to about any of these dramas. So I'd go into the office at work and be like, oh my God, did you hear what this person did? And no one would know what I was talking about. So it's actually exciting to sit down and then, have people comment and we chat about it. And it's really exciting to chat to you about it today because you've been following it as well.
Yes, I'm in the exact same boat. I've been absolutely dying to just have a conversation about all of this with someone. And I watched that episode that you put out in real time. And it was exactly how you described it. You were like, I was about to go to bed.
Literally, I was literally jumping into bed, and it was a work night too, and I was so tired. I was like, I've got to get this out. Like, I'm going to do this.
That was such good dedication.
Yep. Dedication to YouTube always.
So, do you want to tell the listeners how you found Anna Paul's socials, how you got into following her family and Mikaela Testa?
Yeah, so for me, it started back early 2020. I'd say probably midway through 2020. I didn't want to download TikTok. I was super against having another social media platform on my phone. Even though I do work in social media, I was like, I don't want this right now. This isn't going to kick off like everyone thinks it is. Everyone I've heard just mindlessly scrolls through TikTok. It's not very productive of your time, and COVID happened. So obviously had nothing to do in Melbourne, Australia, which was the most lockdown place in the whole entire world. So I jumped on TikTok, much to my dismay, and I guess coming across Anna was doing day in the life vlogs. They weren't kind of regular vlogs. She wasn't going to a 9-to-5 job. She was just living this like fun, carefree life. And I think that's what I resonated with, was just like a normalcy with like a touch bit more money. So, you know, she could spoil family members. She had this gorgeous like red BMW. She was just like living her life and doing whatever she wanted without being like Kardashian level rich. It was just kind of like that girl that you went to school with whose parents were doctors courses and she didn't have to get a job or pay rent when she went to uni and things like that. So it was very much like, oh, this girl has money. Let's like follow something that's a bit out of the normalcy, but also very normal when you're stuck in Melbourne in lockdown and not working at all. So that's kind of where I found her. And then Mikaela, I guess, just kind of came along with the family. She's one of the many side characters that we kind of got to know through Anna's vlogs. Yeah, I guess I really liked Anna because of how bubbly and open she was. She kind of vlogged every day of her life. She was very realistic with everything. But Mikaela was very, I guess, reserved, quiet, which was not Anna's following. Anna's following followed her for the reason that she was so bubbly and so exciting to be around. So Mikaela, my first kind of impressions of her were very like, oh, okay, she's just there. Like, I didn't feel any indifference towards her, I guess. I was kind of there for Anna.
I was the exact same, had the exact same experience as you. I was in lockdown, scrolling. The first video of Anna's that I came across was her and Glenn making birria tacos. And yeah, I was just so excited to find a recipe from an Australian that used Australian ingredients, which are also in New Zealand. Yeah, it was just nice to see like kind of local content, I guess, in that way. And again, to see someone who at the time I thought had come up from a very like poor family and was able to use these really modern streams of income to turn her life around. And actually, when I first started following Anna, the like kind of whole vibe of the family dynamic was her and Mikaela make videos on OnlyFans, and then Atis, this like master crypto investor, takes their earnings and like multiplies them by 1 billion thanks to his in-depth crypto knowledge.
Yeah, I feel like when I started following them, I don't think Addis was into, well, he wasn't publicly talking about crypto just then, and Anna wasn't super public about OnlyFans. So I guess a lot of people went searching. They're like, how does this girl make her money? What is she doing to be able to live this 9-to-5 lifestyle? To live a non-life 9-to-5 lifestyle, supporting her parents, taking them on shopping sprees, looking after her brother. Like, her brother doesn't work either. And I think that was like my first indication of what OnlyFans was.
Yes.
Because it was, again, so early in lockdown, and a lot of people jumped on the OnlyFans kind of bandwagon because of lockdown. They were stuck inside, they didn't know what to do, so they were trying to make money that way. So Anna was the first kind of person, if you went into her, I guess, links on Instagram and everything, that would pop up, and she would sometimes comment things like that's how she made money. She wouldn't kind of publicly say it early, but I do remember even the early days of Anna's YouTube videos, which was where she kind of started making her original money. And it was kind of the classic things like Fashion Nova hauls and this is what I eat in a day and come to the beach with me. Like, that was, I'm so sad those videos aren't around anymore because they would just have the most like golden bits of content in them. But sadly, she has scrubbed them from the internet.
And she was so like of the time. Her vibe was so of the time. Her and Mikaela, it was that very like insta baddie Kylie Jenner, like big blocky eyebrows. I mean, God, you had to be there. And it's so different to how both of them look now, to be honest. Like, they both really fell into the more natural clean girl vibes.
Yeah, if you look back through the photos, even like her vlog, she talks about how she gets filler and she's very, I guess, open to talking about that. And yeah, it was very much like long, straight black hair, very King Kylie vibes. Oh my God, that was like one of the best eras ever. It's like King Kylie, lip kits, Victoria's Secret fashion show type vibes. They were kind of like really embodying that. And I guess you don't see much of that in Australia. I feel like the influencer community is quite small, especially on TikTok. It's very kind of, you kind of know everybody. Whereas again, America is just like always popping up. There's always new people. You can't really keep up. But Australia, we're kind of on our own over here, and New Zealand.
New Zealand's so small you forgot to even mention.
I forgot to mention it because there's probably like 3 creators from no, I'm joking.
Yeah, and I went to school with like a third of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you kind of feel like proud as well that someone's making a name for themselves as an Australian influencer.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. And Especially, I feel like TikTok, because I would say it was still kind of an up and coming app in 2019. I remember I like first heard of it in 2017, and at the time it was like the furries, and like it was really emo and like alternative, and I was like, what is this? And I like departed immediately.
Yeah, it was a scary kind of place. It was musically, I think it was called.
Musically, yeah, it was
Yeah.
musically first, and then yeah, it turned into TikTok, and it was so wild compared to what it is now. But I think that's also why there wasn't as much like Australian, New Zealand representation on there, especially in those early days. And also, I feel like if back then I'd like posted a TikTok video, like low-key I would have been bullied. So
Oh, 100%. You're lip syncing online, like, of
yeah,
course. There's no way you would catch me dead on Musically back then.
they were pretty early to the game, and good for them that they were
Yeah.
brave about it.
Yeah, I feel like that Anna is actually very good at what she does, even though she's going through a lot right now. TikTok jumping on it first, OnlyFans jumping on it first, even, yeah, YouTube jumping on it. Not early days, YouTube's been around for a very long time, but she was very much in that niche of, like I said, fashion Nova hauls, spray tan routine, things like that. Like it was very niche to that time, and I feel like she's very good at what she does.
For sure, and being early to something is scary, and you do have to have some level of like bravery to actually do that. And I know that's somewhat a hot take because you hear people being like, oh, well, she does his vlogs, I could have done that. And it's like, but you have to put yourself in the mindset of being someone who isn't famous yet, or who doesn't have a following, and having to put content out there. Like it's not for the weak, and that's why you didn't, or like, not you, but like that's why people didn't do it, and myself included, even though now I'm like, why didn't I TikTok in lockdown?
Oh my god, why wasn't I doing stupid dances? Like I could be Addison Rae right now. I could have went on like Coachella stage with Charlie XCX last weekend.
So I do kind of commend them for that.
100%.
So how did you first start to hear about this feud and kind of feel that it was starting to bubble up?
I think the earliest sign, like obviously Mikaela coming out with the video was massive, but I very much feel like the cracks were starting to form with the Veruca video, probably, I think it was March last year. That was very much, yeah, cracks starting to show in Anna. She was, again, perfect. She could do no wrong at this point. To have Veruca, someone who is of status, I would say, as much as people don't like her, she does have a big following. Someone who is of status, talking so publicly about Australia's sweetheart, pretty much trying to kind of dissect what is going on. And a lot of it made sense because if you do go back and you put like the pieces together, so it's like, oh, he does live in a van, he's not usually around the family that much, he's kind of in the background of vlogs, like it did make sense. And I guess there was proof of him like being a DoorDasher and things like that. So that was the first kind of cracks for me. What about you?
Yeah, the Veruca video, I definitely remember that as well. And when I first heard her kind of say, I know this famous Australian influencer and their dad is actually homeless, blah, 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 there was like that half-second knee-jerk thing where I was like, oh, I could see that. My first instinct wasn't like, well, that's just so ridiculous and out of the realm. It was actually like, oh, yeah, because like you said, there were those little signs of him being in the van, and like the fact that he kind of like is there but then also isn't for stretches of time. And from that, I should have really just trusted my gut. But unfortunately, I did kind of get convinced a bit that maybe it wasn't. I didn't think Veruca had made it up, but I thought maybe someone else had fed her false information. Like, this is kind of where I ended up landing with all that. I felt like we didn't have enough proof, and then it was really difficult as well because Hans Paul obviously came out and made this statement all about how he enjoys living like, and that his daughter can do no wrong, which in hindsight is like an incredibly biased statement, and I shouldn't have trusted that. But I did at the time kind of just think, and probably I wanted to think, oh, no, it's fine, because like who wants to think that there's this man out there, you know? So it was the like more digestible narrative. And even though everyone was like, Veruca lied to tear down Anna, like that never really, I was like, that just makes no fucking sense to me. But I really thought maybe someone had maybe maliciously fed her some wrong intel. And I know a lot of people at the time were trying to say that it was Mikaela who had informed her of this, and again, I just didn't really believe that. I felt that that was too random.
Yeah, I was a bit conflicted on it because I thought it could be Mikaela because of her relationship with the Pauls at that point was very Like, obviously, publicly, it wasn't much. So you're like, okay, what is going on behind the scenes? Veruca, she has, like I said, she has a very like love-hate relationship with the Australian public. She's lied a lot. People don't trust her. But then on top of that, Anna's fans just, if I 100% knew stuff about Hans Paul and decided to come out with a statement, not that I ever would because I'm a literal nobody, but if I decided I need to get this off my chest, I need to talk about this, I think I would back down just because of Anna's fans. They are very one-sided. Anna could do no wrong in their eyes.
Mm-hmm. It's like cult following type thing.
Yeah, it's very much cult following. And like I said, she'd not had any scandals before. She has the happiest life. She provides for her family. She talks about how much she loves her fans and everything like that. So fans are scary. Like, fans from every kind of group, singer, boy band, there's always like they will defend you to the end of the earth. So they came at Veruca so hard, saying horrible things about her baby who had recently passed away. But again, if that was me, I probably would never have said anything because Anna is she seems untouchable at this point.
And this is actually like around the time where my opinion of her was like, she's uncancelable. And around that time, 2024, I think that's also when, we were about to have the Met Gala and a lot of people were going to start turning on influencers and kind of going like, hang on, actually we shouldn't idolize rich people, or like that was all really bubbling up under the surface at the time. And so for this scandal to come out and for Anna to come out of it unscathed and no one bats an eye at her wealth or anything, I was like, goddamn, like she's, like you said, untouchable. You're right though, like the treatment of Veruca from Anna's fans when she was grieving her dead son, that's so horrific. And I think that's also roundabout when I first started to lose a bit of respect for Anna.
I agree.
Why would she not say something and call her fans out for that? That was so horrific.
I think Anna being quiet, she didn't come out with a statement or anything like that about the situation, about Veruca's baby. And then she kind of subtly mentioned it in a video like, oh, we just picked up our dad from LA. Like, look at our dad traveling the world with us because he loves us. Again, for me, that kind of really left a sour taste in my mouth that I never kind of felt the same towards Anna again. Like, I wasn't a crazy fan. I wasn't like obsessed. I wasn't commenting on her videos often, but it was like, oh, I really like this girl. I think she's great. Good on her. She's made a life for herself. She's just thriving at everything. But as soon as she didn't come out and say anything, like true or false, you should put up something, Instagram, even TikTok stories, and say, I'm not going to address anything, but please do not send hate to anybody's literal deceased child.
Yes.
Horrible
exactly
stuff. And she knew it was happening. I guess that was like the hardest thing for me to support someone.
Yeah, for sure. And also because she's built this whole brand on like, don't bully people and like we have to look out for one another. And even recently in one of her response videos, she like broke down crying about online bullying and how dangerous it is. And yet when people are coming after someone in a way that I haven't seen another influencer on TikTok be berated for something as deeply personal as that, and to say nothing.
Same. And I kind of got to a point then where I was like, what purpose do these influencers serve me that I follow? Like, what are they doing to influence me? So I did unfollow a bunch of influencers around this time because I was like, I don't support what she's doing right now. And like you said, she did bring it up in her first kind of statement after this whole Mikaela thing, saying like it destroys lives and can end people's lives. But where was that energy when Veruca released her video?
Yeah, exactly. What did you think when Mikaela first posted her 9-minute TikTok? It was in January. I think it was January, right?
It was January. I was away on a work trip and I just got into bed. And oh my God, could not believe it. The opening line, like, there are a lot of things wrong with Anna Paul.
Yeah.
Buckle in, like.
I'm sat.
I'm so sat right now. You have my full undivided attention. Like, put the phone on, like, do not disturb. I need to listen to this in full and I probably need to rewatch it again. Insane, because I do remember those stories that Anna put up that day of like, I want to support people who follow my OF. And I always thought that was icky. I was like, oh, you don't need people. Again, she has a young fan base and she can deny that all she wants. But sending people there and just seeing people be like so extremely happy over $100 that Anna's sending them. And it's like, could you imagine the rest of the people that are there trying to get that. I was like, oh, that just doesn't sit well with me. So Mikaela's video, and just hearing, I guess, Anna calling her fans fat and sweaty when that's kind of her whole brand. And then Atis stuff, I didn't assume that, but it was very like, I was like, that doesn't surprise me at all because he just seems like a horrible person and we can probably cover him a little bit more. But yeah, I was sat and it was amazing. And I just, again, it was like, that was the first video. And then I scrolled and the rest of the videos were like people reacting to it, people using the sound. It was like trending before it like had even finished, obviously. Like it was crazy.
I was the same. I like opened it. I heard like there's a lot of things wrong with Anna Paul and like immediately was like save video. If she backs out for whatever reason, like in a couple hours and delete, like no, I need to have evidence of this. Yeah, the things with Atis, I immediately knew, even though I've always said on this podcast that Mikaela is unreliable because she has been in the past. And even though I've like flip-flopped on my opinion of her and there's been a lot of things she's said and done that I was like, I don't agree with that. The second she talked about Atis, I was like, that's like without a doubt in my mind, I believe her on that. Because it was such a serious claim. You know, none of her claims about them before have been this extreme. I felt like it wasn't out of the realm of possibility. There had always been something that like didn't sit right with me with Atis, just because he was always like changing his personality on TikTok every 30 seconds. And I'm really realizing as I speak like this pattern that I have when people like contradict too much online, I don't know how to feel about them and I kind of like close off.
Yeah, I guess the stuff with Atis, it brought me back to Alice Patterson.
Yes.
And I 100% remember being around for that. I remember the claims she was making, obviously very serious, and the evidence was so shockingly there. All the evidence was there. She was so underage. He was well above age, even though he was in a younger or older high school grade. It was there. And I remember Anna had just started YouTubing again very recently. She hadn't YouTube for a while. I think TikTok kind of took over that, but she wanted to get back into it. This was one of the videos that she made, was obviously the Alice claims were massive, and it was videos saying for our supporters. And it was on her channel, and it was like 70% her talking, Anna, and about 30% Atis. And that very much rubbed me the wrong way. Anna speaking on this relationship and trying to come up with facts. It was, again, I was like, I don't know why you're speaking on this relationship that you weren't in. And yeah, that was very icky. So it very much, when Mikaela made those claims about Atis in the 9-minute video, it was like a full circle moment. Like it made sense. I understand it. Yeah, it was, it kind of took us back a lot.
That's so interesting because I definitely wasn't following them when that YouTube video first came out, so I hadn't seen all that. And by the time I sort of found out about it just on like Reddit probably or something like that.
Love Reddit.
It was this like weird bit of lore behind their family that never really went anywhere in the public eye. Obviously he got sentenced and charged for it in court. And so I kind of was like, it's this weird thing that makes me feel weird, but I'm not gonna focus on it. But you're right, when Mikaela came out with her claims, it's like this repeated behavior thing or like this situation. And once again, like, you know, who was the first person to make a response to that video? It was Anna. And then who's the only person who's come and like shown their face talking about this? It was Anna. And this is where I don't get when people are like, why do people bring Anna up? You know, this is between Atis and Mikaela and Atis and Alice and all of this. And it's not, because you've got this person with a huge platform with cult-like young followers, underage followers who come to her events and pop-ups and meet Atis. And yeah, I don't really understand when people are like, oh, you shouldn't bring up Anna. And even Atis brings that up as one of his defenses in his statement.
Like a huge comparison to this is like the Kardashians with like all the side characters, and Anna is Kim, and like she is the face. She's the face of the family. She is the breadwinner. She is just the one central person for the family. She had to defend Atis, of course, because at the end of the day, it's her brand, it's her face. And I do remember there was a TikTok, somebody put it up on Reddit, my favorite place in the world, Reddit, and it was like a day in the life vlog, and it was around this Alice situation. And they did go quiet on socials for a little while, I remember. And it was like, oh, today we got up and we went and saw our lawyer, and they're like in a lawyer's office, and they are like, oh, this is all like the Uber Eats we've eaten through the week because we haven't left the house and we haven't posted or anything. And it was just, I couldn't even imagine like Anna's response now. Like obviously her statement now that she posted recently is very different to this one, but yeah, it's just, it was kind of like nothing to her, but she needed to make it so serious, but she kind of downplayed it a lot because she is the face of the Paul brand at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And even beyond that, listening to Mikaela's stories, it seems like she's very involved in her brother's relationships.
A little too much. Like they're almost in a relationship by the sounds of it, which is wild.
Maybe we should talk about about this. The claims that Atis takes Anna's OF content, which I 1000% believe, by the way.
Yeah, it's my favorite like conspiracy. It's not even a conspiracy, it's real. Like there's literal proof. It's one of those things where everyone just overlooked. And I don't know how we all overlooked it. There was clear evidence that he was taking the photos in the pool, like in paddocks with Mikaela and Anna, and I'm going to say Anna as well, just on her own. Yeah, I mean, I loved Mikaela bringing that up. And then when Anna releases her second statement on this whole thing, when she brings that up, that I was sat for that. I was like, I'm ready. And the screenshot she posted, it literally says in the bottom, like, apart from that one time where he shot content of us in Bali. And I, like, PR 101, like, I don't know how this got past anybody. I don't know how any of her statements got past anybody, but that was, like, the most diabolical thing. And all the memes that have come out of it and people like making funny TikToks about it, I love it. I think it's just so funny because I've got a brother who's probably like a similar age gap, actually probably like a bit bigger age gap to me than like Anna and Atis. And like I couldn't even imagine like going down that path. That's wild.
No, it's so bizarre. Well, also Mikaela's not the only person who's said this.
Yeah.
Lilith has said that he took photos of her and Anna, and at the time it didn't like really cross her mind because that's not her brother, but it's so bizarre. And it is this weird thing where they've always been so close, and how Lilith and Mikaela have both described that Anna was very like encouraging of them dating Atis, and like, I want you to be my sister and you guys would be so cute together, which in part is probably linked to Atis wanting to start this whole OF management company. But like, how many friends do you have that would want you to date their brother? Like, I don't think I've ever.
No, I would keep everybody away from my brother. I love my brother, but I don't want anyone to date him. I remember my brother just got out of a very long relationship, and there was one time where she was like crying on the phone, like arguing with my brother because he did something like stupid. I don't know, maybe he didn't go pick her up or something. It was something like so dumb. And my brother was like, "Can you talk to her?" And I was like, I don't want to insert myself in this relationship, but I spoke to her and I literally said to her, you have to lower your expectations of my brother because these are boys and I don't, like, my brother's my brother. Like, he's dumb. Like, boys are dumb. Do not date him. Like, I see him all the time. Why would you go out and date my brother? Love him, but like, I just couldn't imagine myself like pushing my friends on him, let alone like random girls. Like, I like to keep my friendships and my family like so separate in that aspect.
Yeah, of course. It's just this really bizarre dynamic that they have. And, you know, Lilith even describing how Anna was like, oh, you and Atis should share a room. Like, this is so bizarre to me because I don't have a brother, but I have friends who have brothers, and like, there is absolutely no way they would be mortified. You know? Yeah, I fully believe that he takes her OF content. And again, I think it's just like another one of those indicators where it's like, there's something wrong here. Like, there's something wrong with Anna Paul, as Mikaela says. Then you start to reassess everything through this new lens where you're like, okay, it's cute that she's close with her family, but like, it is also kind of crazy that she's with her mum like nearly every single hour of every single day, and her and Atis are always together, and like, it never seems like her and her partners ever get to have a minute alone or a date night, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think one thing from the get-go for me was Anna had no friends, like publicly, that we knew about. She talked about all the time how open she is with everybody, how she vlogs her life, like vlogs every day. But in those everyday vlogs, she never had friends. Like, we never saw her with anybody apart from her mum, her sometimes dad, brother, partner, and Mikaela. So the no friends kind of got me. I was like, if you're so lively, bubbly, exciting to be around, adventurous. Why don't you have any friends? Who's around for you? Like, where, do you have a girls' night ever? Have you gone for a sleepover at a friend's house? Is there birthday parties? Like, if you had a birthday party, who would you invite? It was very,
Yeah.
from the get-go, that for me was a very interesting thing, that there was no one else around.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then even when she had the friends from the like horse ranch, Estelle and I've forgotten the other one's name.
Emma, maybe.
Yeah, and then even that like abruptly ended, and then now she's like dating Emmerich. Like, I don't know. Who was their brother? Or like, I don't know. They were all connected, right?
The two, I don't know if they were sisters or they were friends, but it was like, we saw them for like a month, I think. And it was like, I just brought this like Gucci and Hermes things for my friends. And it was like, who are these people? And
Yeah.
they just came out of nowhere, and then they disappeared even quicker, and we like didn't even question it. And it was I think one thing that threw a lot of people off when Anna eventually returned to TikTok following her statement was she was at Six Flags in America with friends, and she said like, I'm here with my friends,
Yes.
and we were like, we've never seen these people ever before. And then on from that, the next one was like, oh, I'm going out to a club tonight with my friends, something she never did. She talked about how much she hated going out. She talked about how much she hated drinking alcohol, and now she's out with her friends who we've never ever met before. So her content switched up kind of very quickly.
It's another thing where even though she's like, I'm an open book, I tell you all about what surgeries I've, not surgeries, what cosmetic procedures I've had done, I vlog every day of my life, and yet there are these aspects that she keeps hidden, which is fine, but then don't pretend to be like this completely open person online. And I think that's where she ended up in the long run kind of shooting herself in the foot, is by being this like perfect, open, authentic person and building her whole brand around that anytime she conceals something, I don't know, it comes across like 10 times worse, even though it's like kind of insane to expect her to let us into every aspect of her life. But that's the benchmark she set for herself.
I totally agree with that. And I think that kind of really all started with Amric and the breakup she had with Glenn. So they broke up just before, actually they had just been on like a round the world trip. Glenn wasn't there. People were questioning it so much. Anna was saying everything's fine. He's just going to stay home for some reason. And there was just like a random guy on their holiday with her mum and her dad and her brother. And he was just always there in the background and stuff. And so everyone's questioning it. Who's this guy? What's happening? And she shut it down so quickly, saying it's a family friend in like a comment or two. She never like properly made a video, but he was always there. And then, yeah, people kind of just put two and two together. A lot of internet sleuths found out who he was. There was a lot of deep dives. But again, that was, I think, the very like big start for people, where it was like, you aren't being honest with us, even though that is your whole kind of persona, is how open you are. You want to be everybody's internet best friend. So for you to hide someone like that, again, she can do whatever she wants, but at the end of the day, this is the brand she's created for herself, and people are finding out very quickly.
That was my exact reaction as well. And you're right, Emmerich was like the first time we saw her quite openly just like not acknowledge this person in her vlogs. And it is okay to not want to put every aspect of your life online, but then just don't make your brand doing exactly that, or don't set that expectation, I guess. Should we talk about Anna's 2 response videos?
My favorite topic. The first response video, I remember being at home and maths had just started, and it was like a dinner party episode as well. So I was like, it was like 7:32. I think I had like made a video earlier in the day or something, and there was a comment popped up, and it was instantly like, oh my god, Anna's posted, and all the comments started flooding in. So I went to her page, and again, maths had just started, and I was so mad because I was like, what do you mean? I was like literally watching it in the ad breaks and trying to watch it on like 2 times speed so I could watch maths at the same time. It was so calculated. Like, I love dissecting things, and this was like one of the reasons I like started YouTube, because I just love to dissect things like this. And again, so calculated, from like sitting on the floor of her house, no makeup, hair back, oversized jumper, like starting the video and like going back, so like no cuts or anything. So extremely calculated. And I remember watching it, and I was like, I'm not gonna look at the comments yet. I want to form an opinion beforehand. And I was like, please tell me that everybody is thinking the same way I do, that this was like not an apology. It was like, it was nothing. There was a whole lot of absolutely nothing in this video. And all the comments were like agreeing with me. I thought that Anna fans would come out and praise her and support her, but it was the complete opposite. It will go down in history as one of the greatest celebrity influencer apologies like ever.
Absolutely. It's so Interesting. I'm the same way. I love to dissect things. And you're right. There was, right off the bat, there was just so many little indirect attacks on Mikaela's initial video. Like, she turns her camera around and she's like, I'm not reading off of anything. Because obviously Mikaela read her statement out. She goes on to say, like, you guys know me, even though
Gaslighting.
Mikaela's video had been like, you don't know the real Anna Paul. And then she comes on, she's like, you know that I would never talk about my fans in this way. Of course, there is zero mention of Atis or any of the actual serious claims like the animal neglect and the stuff with Atis. And instead she just cherry picked the like most benign claims about lying about being poor and the fat phobia, which is obviously a serious claim as well, but not like go to prison serious, and also is incredibly difficult to prove based on that one story that Mikaela had said at the time.
Yeah, she very much kind of nitpicked exactly what she wanted to talk about. And then, again, the turning around, like, I've got no one here in the room with me, I'm not reading off anything. And then going on to think about what you guys say online about people. Again, it brings back to the Veruca thing because everyone was against her at that point. Again, no mention of the lottery.
Yes, the lottery,
the illegal lottery scheme. She really nitpicked what she wanted to say, and she obviously has management. We know that now. She's managed by the same people who manage James Charles, who also run her skincare business, Polly. So that's her manager and her team. And I honestly don't know how they okayed this video. I do a lot, like I work a lot in media communications in my real life, and I do not know how that video would have ever passed for anybody. I couldn't, like it made me feel broke stuff was nuts. And she does bring up like, oh, I've talked about this before, how I was in economy because my uncle paid for a ticket to go see the family, and they moved me up to first class with 20 minutes to go because Atis threw up. But that doesn't talk about like the ski trips you're going on, or the Louis Vuitton personalized wallets, or the so many Tiffany boxes. Like Tiffany's so expensive. Just all that stuff. And it made me feel broke is just like the most quotable thing that's ever come out of an influencer apology ever.
It's gonna go down in history. Her video was so bad, and maybe I'm like giving her too much credit, but it was like so bad that I ended up forming this conspiracy theory that she like did all of those things on purpose to further distract from Atis, because she even wore like the Bambi brand, which had been cancelled very recently. And then she, says, I feel broke. And I just think someone like Anna had to have known that saying I feel broke was going to come across wrong or get turned into a meme and just be so ridiculous as a defense for what Mikaela had come out and said. So I do have this like little conspiracy that she knew it would get that reaction, and she was willing to do that because it meant that It Made Me Feel Broke went viral instead of, hey, Atis is a fucking rapist. Like,
That's so interesting. I see where you're coming from, and I feel like if everything went in the way that she wanted it to, she would have like released merch. Like it would have been like on t-shirts. She would have profited off that so badly. It's very much like a buy sister situation. But yeah, I could definitely see her trying to profit off that as much as possible.
Definitely. And then what were your thoughts on her second response? I remember when this came out, people were like, oh, Mikaela's done, she's got so many receipts, she's explained everything. And everyone was bringing up this like voice note that apparently proves Mikaela's lying about everything.
The voice note is my favorite thing in the whole entire world. I'm probably going to make it my like morning alarm or my ringtone or something. She posted, and the video goes for 26 minutes, which is a literal episode of a TV show. Like if you watch Home and Away, that is literally an episode of Home and Away. 26 minutes is wild. Wearing all white, hair down, no makeup, again, trying to use those strategies in a random hotel room. It's like she's never at home. She addressed a lot more claims this time, and I thought it was funny. She said she wasn't going to do this, and then people were starting to comment saying, oh, Mikaela's got receipts on you. So she said she sat down and watched the whole thing. I don't feel like she did it at all. A lot of what she's come out and said was debunked pretty much straight away by Mikaela and Veruca the same night, this April 2nd night, which was absolutely wild to live live and live through. But the voice note at the end was so iconic because she really thought she did something with that. like the subtitles on the screen for it, and then the fade to black. Like, it was so, like, Mikaela coming out and being like, I'm gonna take every one of her followers away from her, siphoning bitch. Like, oh, it was so iconic. It, like, Anna really thought she did something there, but I was like, Mikaela, love you for that. Like, I would probably say the exact same thing. And Mikaela owned it too, which I loved even more.
Yeah, Mikaela reposted it to her story, not to her story, to her TikTok almost instantly. Yes, it was, if anything, it just proved to me even more that Mikaela was telling the truth, because you could feel her frustration in that voice note. And she really was saying, like, she took my story, she took my, content, and everything they love about her is actually stolen from me and my personality. And she just sounded like someone who'd been fucked over by her family for like multiple years. So I was like, oh my gosh, what is this voice note? It must be, so intense. And then I heard it and was like, queen, icon.
Yeah.
Like,
and people were commenting like, oh my God, Michaela's done now. This voice note's like ended her. And I was like, no, it hasn't. This has just like boosted her, I guess, reputation, her status. I loved it. I thought it was great. And if you think that you're gonna love Anna again and hate Mikaela just because of that voice note, I don't think people have their priorities right.
No, and that was the really frustrating thing, because of course this video came out the same time or shortly after Atis released his statement on Instagram, and it was disappointing to see people like, oh, sorry, I'm Team Anna again, or, which, first of all, like, the fact that we are talking about a horrific physical, sexual, emotional abuse situation, and people are like, I'm team, like, it's not Twilight. That kind of got to me a bit. And then being so easily swayed by a video that really didn't address that much. Again, she addressed some of those more serious claims, but still didn't discuss the things with Atis, and came up with a very weak apology for her YouTube video against Alice, where she essentially just said, I'm sorry for speaking on a relationship that I wasn't in, instead of, I'm sorry for silencing a 17-year-old who was speaking up about abuse claims that my brother was charged for, like, which is so crazy.
I feel like she started the video by saying she's not going to speak on anyone's relationship, and that was very calculated and thought out, because she's then saying, like, I'm not going to speak on Atis and Mikaela's relationship, Atis and Alice's relationship, even though she did mention that she shouldn't have done that. Yeah, it's just her way of kind of like pushing back, I guess. And then, yeah, like I said, a lot was debunked at the end of the day. Veruca came out with like a 20-part series debunking everything, which was my absolute favorite. Things like the wings were clipped in some photos and not in others, so she posted the unclipped wings for the birds. The dad, again, he wants to live a van life, and Veruca's like, well, why isn't he traveling around Australia? Why is he asleep around the corner from your house in the Woolies car park? Like, I don't know anyone who does van life and just stays in their hometown and sleeps in, which is so true. Like, who I don't know anyone who does that.
No.
So Veruca coming out, it was incredible. And Mikaela instantly fires back, like yelling at the screen. It's so interesting because, yeah, Anna's trying to go back to normal and post normal things, tries to calculate everything, and it takes her like so long to respond. And Michaela's like instantly, like Mikaela instantly straight away replies. So
yeah, and again, it's because they're telling the truth, so they can just pick up their phone and respond to these claims instantly, whereas Anna needs to like sit down and like really think about how she can, and Atis as well, how they can like worm their way out of this. What did you think of Atis's statement? I personally, the whole thing, it felt very like skirting accountability. It felt very like pushing the narrative of like, oh, Mikaela's crazy and she's also obsessed with me and my family. I didn't think it did anything for me, and I really didn't like how he was like, I'm not saying I'm perfect, I've done some bad things, and then just never elaborated on what that actually was, and so left it conveniently vague that parts of what Mikaela said was true, but definitely not all of it. And then obviously he denied the like more extreme claims, but to still just leave it open-ended, like, I've done some bad things.
Again, super calculated on what exactly he was posting by not coming out with a direct video like Mikaela, Anna, everyone else has. I know he has been off TikTok for a little while now. We're not kind of sure why. I think he knew that everything was going to come up eventually, so he did decide to wipe everything. In saying that, the post he made, first thing is like bringing up Anna. And I think, again, super calculated. She is the face. She is the reason he doesn't have a job. He lives rent-free. He doesn't have a job because his sister provides for him and the family. So the first thing he's going to do is try and defend Anna as much as possible and trying to get people to, you know, and they say like, oh, it's women against women. And it's like, well, yeah, that's kind of,
I hated that.
that's like, stop trying to do that because what is happening right now? Yeah, so instantly the first slide is like Anna, and it's like focusing on Anna. He's just trying to debunk a lot of other stuff like the crypto stuff, the OF management. At the end of the day, he had no experience in social media management in general. So it's like, whatever you say to me, I'm not going to clock it because you don't have any experience. You just want to manage OF girls and see naked photos all day.
That was literally it. You can just tell this is how he came up with this idea.
Yeah, like you have no experience whatsoever in this management company, and it's literally just a creepy guy running this OF management. And him trying to say like, oh, I sent, or the 50% is sending for promos, and those photos are so extremely blurry. Like you go in the real ones, you zoom right in, they are way too blurry. And a lot of them were small sums. And Veruca brings that up. Things like there was $10, $20, $50. There might have been $100 or $200 here and there. But the amount that Mikaela was making and him to take 50%, it's nowhere near like what is needed. And a lot of the stuff he was saying, like, she's a psycho ex, she wanted to get back with me. She didn't have any family. Like that was her family at the end of the day. And she has owned up about how crazy she has been in the past. She literally films herself crashing out over a guy. I crash out over guys all the time. I could never film myself and publicly post that. Like that's who Mikaela is. And to call her a crazy ex for that is like diabolical.
It was super conniving, but also, unfortunately, when someone is in an abusive relationship, they often do try to get back with their abuser or end up in that situation again. And this is like a known statistic and a known fact. And so him trying to be like, see, she's so obsessed with me. If I was really so bad, why would she be doing all this? Why would she be trying to get me to manage her OF again? I absolutely believe that she was trying to use that as a way to get back into contact with him because she was in a horrific environment. So it's like, you're not going to make logical decisions when you're in that type of relationship. And as you said, breaking up with Atis meant losing all these people that she was spending every single second of every single day with. That's a massive culture shock for anyone. What he was trying to say, I just wasn't like picking up what he was putting down.
I definitely agree. And then, yeah, same with the crypto stuff. Like we all knew that was absolutely bogus. And he's just trying to stop everything, like trying to clear his name at the end of the day. But I think he knew that he wasn't going to get his life back to normal and how it was. I do remember when Mikaela did leave Atis eventually, she like thrived, and you could see that she was around friends that we'd never seen before. These are apparently childhood friends that she wasn't allowed to see. So seeing her like go off, take her friends overseas on holidays, just living her life, she's happy. She was like, she literally went from like pale to tan, and that wasn't just fake tan. Like she genuinely looked healthier in general. So that was kind of when I knew there was something ultimately wrong with Atis at the end of the day.
Yeah, and guess who else had a mad glow up post breakup is Glenn.
Oh my God, my absolute king. I love that man, and I hope he is like thriving. And if I could hear from anyone in this situation, it would be him. Oh my God, I would love to know what he has to say.
I'd love to know what him and his like whole family think of Anna and Atis and like how
Mama.
close they are and
Yeah.
Mama and oh my gosh, I know. I don't know if he ever will speak up though, but the one text that Mikaela shared of him and he said to her like something about his life drastically improving after leaving that household, that told me everything I needed to know. Like
it was, yeah, biggest glow up ever. I feel like a lot of people, Anna lost a lot of fans when her and Glenn broke up. Not like, oh, I'm taking sides. It was more like, oh, like I actually really liked you when you were with your boyfriend. They were like childhood sweethearts. It was like that gorgeous love story. Like they fell in love in high school and they move in together now and they travel the world. So supportive of a boyfriend. He was always doing stuff for her. There was one video, it was around the time she got the horse, and it was like, Glenn drove me to my lesson and then I forgot this. So he went back and got it, and then he waited for me, and then he went and got coffees for when I finished, and then he carried all my stuff over, like sweetest boyfriend ever. And I think the car situation, I don't know how anyone could comment how like, oh, how normal that was. That was like the least normal thing ever. The car, her buying him the car. And
it was so long after their breakup as well. Like
Oh.
it had been months, and then she just randomly pops up and buys him his dream car. And then I'm sitting there thinking this is weird as hell. And then I'm reading like comments of people being like, it's not her fault that you have a bad relationship with your ex-boyfriends, or that you're like too immature to be on good terms.
There's difference between good terms and you can be friendly with your boyfriend, but I'm not buying him his dream car. And if I had a new boyfriend, he would probably be like so confused about the whole
No, I would crash out if my boyfriend bought his ex. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm
Are you
out of that
kidding me?
relationship. I'm not in
Packing my
that.
suitcase.
There's no way. I'm gonna pretend to be happy family over that. There's no way.
And they even like did Christmas tea. I'm sorry, maybe I'm toxic. Maybe I'm toxic,
Maybe
guys.
I'm toxic for having my ex-boyfriend at my family's Christmas and then buying him his dream car for no reason. It wasn't it was just, it was wild.
That was so messed up. The last person I kind of want to like debrief about before we wrap up is Jjemmya. And I think Jjemmya is such an interesting dynamic in all of this, and a really important like key person, especially with the claims against Atis, because she doesn't have a following. She's never tried to be a TikToker or be an influencer or anything like that. So a lot of that initial defense that Anna and Atis like to put out when someone's trying to say anything critical against them is always, oh, they're doing this for followings and for, you know, that kind of gain. And that doesn't really apply to her. And then the other thing is the text messages she shared between her and Atis. I feel like those were ones where I was like, holy shit, like I am witnessing like a master manipulator right in front of me, and I'm seeing his tactics, and it's absolutely horrific.
In the whole, oh my God, how many hours was Mixed podcast in total? Like 7, 8 hours. I think that section, Jjemmya coming out, the screenshots of the text messages, that just made me so unbelievably uncomfortable. Like I felt like illegal reading those. I felt like I should call the police. I felt like I should call a hotline for her and get her some help. I really hope she's got the support and love around her, because you can even see in those messages, she was like pushing back on a lot of what he said. Like there was one instance where he's like, if you feel like raped, let me know. And she was like, yes, I do. Like for her to like come out and say that, and it's literally in text, in black and white print, the things that he is saying. And like you said, she wasn't anyone beforehand. She was in the background of Anna's vlog. She even asked to be in the background, like to not be in the vlogs, because she didn't want 15 minutes of fame. She didn't want anything. Her Instagram was on private. And even then, if she would post a cute pic, Atis would get mad at her, saying she's trying to get attention from male followers, and just even the little things like the creating like false accounts to like follow people that it's so scary. It's actually like horrific what he's doing, and I couldn't even imagine seeing that and thinking like, oh yeah, I'll date him, like that's fine.
I know. I was the same. This was definitely the hardest part for me to watch. There were two moments in the entire podcast that I cried. One was when Mikaela was talking about taking the BBL medication, like
the in-depth, like the amount of detail she went into was scary.
Thinking of someone you love and trust doing that, and obviously he's denied it all, but again, why would she lie about something like that? And the second part was the text with Jjemmya and just hearing her experience with it all, and it's horrific. You can just see so easily his tactics that he uses to control her, and even like using her doing sexual favors for him as a means of like praising her and telling her he's this perfect little, always using the term little
young, tiny, like
my little tiny little,
soft.
Jjemmya fetish, soft little, like all these adjectives. And you could see moments where she was pushing back, or where it was clear that she was being hesitant or reluctant, or describing sexual interactions that they had where she after the fact had said like I wasn't fully into it. And it was just such a clear example of like why they say consent is an enthusiastic yes, because this is a great example where he could argue like, oh, technically she didn't say no, and it's like, but from the text interactions it's so horrific. And then her saying, I feel raped, and him replying, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Horrible.
My God.
Like,
get that man some help.
Yeah, if that was my brother, I would not be defending him online. I would not be letting any girls around him, first of all.
No.
And the mum, just to, again, be so normal about it, I would be seeking you've got so much money, like so much money, you can get the best help possible for your brother. And I think that's exactly what Anna should be doing right now.
Yeah, and that's where like her and mama and everyone around him have this like responsibility of keeping him in check. And we've seen the text that Mikaela shared of her messaging Hans and being like, please like take accountability for your son. You need to do something. He's scary. He's gonna hurt someone. And, you know, obviously didn't get a reply. But it's true. And again, this is where his family come into it, because it's like they're living with him. They see this side of him. They have to. Jjemmya even said the walls in that house within. So it's like they probably hear parts of it, and to just ignore it, and I understand it's a tough thing to have to do, but like to just ignore it, and I don't know.
It's very repetitive as well. Like Mikaela talked about how Glenn and Anna and Mama would come into the room when they were fighting, and Alice as well. So it's like, it's clearly, this is not normal that you guys are screaming at each other. I feel like, I don't know, Anna and Glenn probably weren't screaming at each other like Atis and all that were. So it's like, how is this in any way normal? If I heard my brother screaming at a girl, like it would be the first and last time. Like there is no way we would let that happen again. But then also I want to bring up Jemmaya's, there was a video of her going around. It was Anna's meet and greet, I think for Paulie or something, and she was like kind of standing back, and a fan was like filming Atis, and they're like, oh, this must be his new girlfriend. And she looked so timid and so scared. She looked literally like she was being held against her will there. Her body language was showing that, her facial expressions. It was just kind of so horrible to actually see that in real life and compare that to what is going on with these text messages.
We see that discomfort, but also like he made her sign an NDA, so she was probably, which is like, okay, calm down, Atis, like fucking relax, like you're famous but you don't need a fucking NDA. And she was probably just terrified of that. But it also, like, I mean, she said she felt like she wasn't even allowed to speak about all of this until she talked to Mikaela and Alice, and they actually told her like the NDA is void if he does something illegal.
Love that.
But that's just another like controlling aspect of it all, which just makes her terrified and means she's not allowed to like talk to people about her whole experience.
How scary is that? Like it would be horrible to have to live through that. And yeah, just seeing those text messages, it was horrific.
They were definitely some of the like toughest things. Going through everything, I was like, oh, I want to die reading these, to be honest.
I felt that.
My gosh. Okay, before we wrap up, any final thoughts on this entire fiasco? There's so much more to talk about, but like I'm like, we've been talking for quite some time.
We'll definitely have to do a part 2, because yeah, there's just so much lore behind it, so many moving parts, having side characters like Veruca, Lilith, Bailey. We didn't even touch on Bailey.
We didn't even talk about Bailey. Yeah.
There's just so much to cover, but again,
and Atis's new girlfriend, I forgot to mention.
Oh, and since we spoke last time, which was a few days ago, she's publicly commenting on like videos now and things. So
yes,
we'll definitely need to do a part 2. But there's just so much lore to it and so much happening. And I feel like Anna running away to Coachella, and she's started posting on her Snapchat again and a couple of Insta stories here and there. She's just trying to act as normal as possible and trying to get back to that. And I don't think she will ever get back to where she was.
I don't think so either. I'm surprised she still has as many followers as she does.
I agree.
Okay, thank you so much for coming on and discussing this feud with me. It's been so hectic the last couple of weeks following everything, but it's been really good to have a debrief chat. And yeah, I feel like I could talk about this for another 3 hours because there's so many layers and so much to unpack there. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Charlotte.
Thanks, Katya. Yeah, like I mean, Mikaela's podcast obviously went for like 7 something hours, so there's obviously so much, and she didn't even cover, I feel like, half of it, and the amount of stuff that's actually online that we can dig up, and everything lives on the internet apart from Anna's YouTube videos, which are very hidden, but I'm sure someone's got them somewhere. But it's been great to debrief with you about the whole situation and the years it's taken to get here.
Yes, so much lore. Thanks, Charlotte.
Thanks, Katya.
A big thank you to Charlotte for coming onto Mood for Feud. It was so much fun having a conversation with someone about this feud. And also don't forget to check out Charlotte's YouTube channel where we rank the top 5 diabolical things the Paul family has done, and also give Charlotte's Insta and TikTok a follow. I will have all of those accounts linked down below. Remember to rate and review the podcast if you enjoy the show. Please feel free to leave a written review or comment. I love my words of affirmation. And you can connect with me on socials at Mood for Feud. I hope everyone is crushing their goals this week, and of course keeping out of trouble. Don't get into any feuds, and I will talk to you all next week. Bye.